$39.99 fee, you are ready to move on to the next part, which is starting to really get registered for your specific local competition. That is if you want to compete in a local. So the first thing we're going to do is find a local to compete in. And you could do this really easily using our friend Google. So I'm going to switch over to a tab here, and you can see I have typed in Miss Ohio local competitions, and Ohio is the state, the example that I'm using here, but whether you are in Maryland, Texas, wherever, you could easily change the state, but you're just going to click around and look in here and say, okay, what you're going to look for is something that says missohio.org. If it said Miss Ohio, Royal Beauties, it's not that one, but you should be pretty easily be able to find it in the Miss America organization. You're going to click it right here and head to the home page of the website, of your state's website, that's going to have information about the locals. So here we are. You can see, you can see the ones that have passed, and you can see that there are a lot more local titles to win here in Ohio, for example. So there are a few things that you need to do. Number one is to look at the date and look at your own calendar. The next thing you should do is check out the location of the competition, and you could pick this up by looking at where the competition is. Ohio, for example, we've got more information if we head to this page for how to enter, and this will lead us to even more details about it. So depending on your state's website, you're probably gonna have to click around a little bit to find it, but let's say here in Ohio, let's say I want to compete on February 11th for Miss Shawnee, Miss Portsmouth, and Teens. And what this means is they're awarding a Miss Shawnee title, Miss Portsmouth title, and then Miss Shawnee's Teen and Miss Talawanna's Teen. So those are the competition titles that they're giving away, and you can see all the details about the location. So figure out where you are and where this is. They're in Google Maps. I'm going to do that right now, for example, and show you. Let's see. All right, because I'm sure you know how to do this, but we're going to make sure. So you can see I am here, and we're going to just see directions. Now, a good rule of thumb for this is if you're able to drive, I would not recommend doing a local that's more than 3.5 hours. That's a lot. But honestly, 2 hours here is not too bad. And the cool thing about this community is you can connect with other women who are also wanting to compete by throwing a message in the forum or the chat saying, hey, is anyone else wanting to compete in Miss Shawnee in Ohio? And you might be able to find someone who would carpool. Let's say I would find someone who would carpool from Cincinnati all the way to Portsmouth to compete. So it's a good idea to just network and make some connections here. But the next thing you're going to note is the application date. So for example, right here for this one, it says to be determined. But usually a good rule of thumb is that the applications are due 2 to 3 weeks, or 1 to 2 weeks actually, before the local date. So once you've found your local competition, we are going to move on to step 2, which is noting your local's information. So this is a really handy page right here, and have this be kind of like your all-in-one for your local. So what you're going to do is, let's say I want to compete in Miss Shawnee and Miss Shawnee or Miss Portsmouth. This is all one competition. I'm going to write, I want to compete for Miss Shawnee, Miss Portsmouth, and then we're going to start filling out this information. So the name of your local director would be Regina Spees. Your email would be missportshawnee@gmail.com. Her phone number would be this one right here. And her address is going to be the address that you're looking for, which is the Vern Rife Center for the Arts. That's where the competition is going to be held. Application deadline, good rule of thumb is it's a few weeks before. Date of competition, right here, this is February 11th. Your address is going to be, again, this address of the competition, and arrival time if known, competition start time. These are 2 details that are great if you have them. So for example, here they are. See competition date, competition start time, 6 p.m. And good rule of thumb, again, for the arrival time is you're probably going to aim to get there around 9 to 10 a.m. So once you have all this information noted down, you will be ready to move on to the next step.